Good morning everyone. In today's class, we'll discuss about the supply under GST. In case of GST, the taxable event is supply. The supply is defined under section 7 subsection 1 clause A of GST Act. According to that, supply includes sale, transfer, barter, exchange, license, rental, lease, disposal, any form of supply where in case of supply the title of the goods is transferred. In case of transfer, if you are transferring only the right to use that goods, even the title is not transferring. In case of barter, when goods are exchanged for goods, or sometimes when goods or services are provided on a rental basis, or goods or services are provided on lease or disposal, all types of supply will include in the term supply under GST. The supply to be a taxable event, there are 5 parameters that should be complied with. The first parameter of supply is that supply should be of goods and services. The second parameter, supply should be for a consideration. The third parameter, the supply should be in the course or furtherance of business. Fourth parameter, the supply should be by a taxable person. And the last parameter is that supply should be a taxable supply. Let's discuss one by one each parameter of supply. The goods are defined in GST Act. GST goods means every kind of movable property. It includes actionable claims and growing crops, grass and things attached to or forming part of land which are agreed to be severed before supply or under contract of supply. In case of GST, goods includes all kind of movable property. It includes actionable claims and crops or grass which are or which will be detached in future at the time of supply, but it excludes money and securities. Services defined under GST Act. Service means anything other than goods are services. Services also exclude money and securities, but it includes activities related to use of money and conversion of money by cash or by any other mode, or conversion of money from one currency to another currency, and for which a separate consideration is charged. For example, suppose a demand draft is issued by the bank on deposit of cash. This is a transaction in money and this can't be subject to GST, but if any commission is charged by the bank for making of that DD, then it will be a conversion charge and that charge will be liable to GST. The second example, a person goes to bank for exchange of note of rupees 2000 into 20 number of notes of 100. For this purpose, bank does not charge any amount from the person. In that case, that transaction can't be considered as transaction in money and no GST will be charged on that. The second consideration is supply should be for a consideration. Consideration, if we say the simple meaning of consideration is something in return, that the supplier should receive something in return for that supply. Consideration is defined under section 2 subsection 31 of GST Act. Consideration for supply of goods or services would include any payment made or to be made, whether in money or otherwise, by the recipient or by any other person. In case of supply, any amount which is either directly paid by the recipient to the supplier or by any other person on behalf of the recipient to the supplier will be treated as consideration for that supply. the monetary value of any act or forbearances by the recipient or by any other person. Any monetary value which is paid by the person to the another person, either for doing any act or for not doing any act, or stopping that person from doing any act by the recipient or by any other person. For example, in case of Mr. Praveen, a partner of AB and Associates, retires from firm enter into non-competence agreement with Mr. Praveen for 5 years against a consideration of 5 crore. Here, the AB and Associate is paying 5 crore rupees to Mr. Praveen for not doing that same act at least for 5 years. So this is an this is amount paid for stopping Mr. Praveen for doing a particular act. That payment will also be constituted as supply. Any subsidy given by the central government or state government shall not be treated as part of consideration. Any amount given by the central government or state government as a subsidy will not be a part of consideration. Any deposit given in respect of supply of goods or services or both shall not be considered as payment made for such supply unless the supplier applies the deposit as consideration for the said supply. Any amount given as an advance to the supplier for supply of particular goods or services, then that deposit will be treated as consideration only if that deposit is considered for payment of that particular supply. So this is about the consideration. The next parameter is that supply should be in the course of furtherance of business. Now business is defined under section 2 subsection 17 of CGST Act. Business includes first, any trade, commerce, manufacture, profession, vocation, adventure, vigor, or any similar activity, whether or not it is for a pecuniary benefit. It's saying that even if any activity is in the form of a trade, commerce, manufacture, or profession, vocation, even a vagrant activity, and the purpose of that activity is either benefit or without benefit, it will be included in business. For example, Mr. Akshay Kumar, a famous actor, paints some paintings and sell them. The consideration from such sale is to be donated to a charitable trust, Kind Human. In this case, the sale of painting by the actor will be qualified as supply, even it is a one-time occurrence. So even any activity which is not which is not done even for a pecuniary benefit, it will be a business. The second, any activity or transaction in connection with or incidental or ancillary to the main business. If any activity is occurred or that activity is in connection with or in ancillary or incidental to the main business, then that activity will also be included in business. For example, in case of a sale of laddu by a temple can't be treated as business, or we can say the sale of laddu by temple will not be included in the term business, since the main activity of the temple is not business. The another example, the sale of old plant and machinery, old computer, old furniture, old car, or any of the old assets by the business would attract GST, even though the taxable person are not in business to sell these assets, because the sale of the old asset is in connection with the main business. The third point, any activity or transaction, whether or not there is volume, frequency, continuity, or regularity of such transaction, means even any transaction which are undertaken on a casual or irregular basis, even one time occur, even then it will be included in business. The next, the supply or acquisition of goods, including capital goods and services in connection with commencement or closure of business. In case of any supply at the time of commencement or closure of business, including capital goods, will be included in the term business. For example, when partner bring in capital assets or stocks into the firm as their capital, or assets distributed to partner at the time of dissolution of firm, both will be amount to business. Another business definition includes provision by a club, association, society, or any such body, sorry, for a consideration or a subscription of the facilities or benefits to its members. Any facility provided by the club, association, society, or body for which they are charging separate consideration from their members will be included in business. Admission for a consideration of person to any premises. Admission to any event like amusement park, cinema hall, gaming event for a fee or consideration will be included in business. Another one is services supplied by a person as the holder of an office which has been accepted by him in the course or furtherance of his trade, profession, or vocation. What it's saying, that any supply or any supply of services by a person to another in the course or furtherance of business, in that case that services will be included in the term business. For example, suppose a practicing chartered accountant is appointed as an independent director of a company. It means that he accepts this office of directorship in the course or furtherance of his professional practice, so that services will be treated as business. The next one is the services provided by a race club by way of totalizer or license to bookmaker in such club. So services provided by the race club in the form of totalizer will also be included in business. And the last, if any activity or transaction undertaken by the central government or state government or any local authority in which they are engaged as a public authority will also be included in business. So the third parameter is that supply should be for consideration and in the course of furtherance of business. Since GST is essentially a commercial tax and it is levied on only commercial transactions, so only on those supplies which are made in the course or furtherance of business will be qualify as supply. Resultantly, if any supply made by an individual in his personal capacity, it won't come under the ambit of GST. For example, Rishabh buys a car for his personal use and after a year sells a car to a car dealer. Now, sale of a car by a Rishabh to a car dealer is not a supply, and the reason is that this supply is made by the Rishabh, not in the course or furtherance of business. The fourth parameter is that supply should be by a taxable person. So first we'll discuss about the term person defined under section 2 subsection 84 of CGST Act. Person includes an individual, a firm, any corporation established by or under central or state act, a local authority, company, HUF, a limited liability partnership, any body corporate incorporated by or even under the laws of countries outside India, central government, state government, every judicial person, an association of a person or body or individual, whether incorporated or not, or whether incorporated in India or outside India. Person also includes trust, a cooperative society, or a society, and a society registered under the Societies Registration Acts. So all entities, either natural or artificial, will be included in the term person. Now, what do you mean by a taxable person here? A taxable person is a person who is registered or liable to be registered. Any person who is already registered or is liable to be registered, even he is not registered, then also that person will be treated as a taxable person. Similarly, if a person who is not liable to be registered but has taken voluntarily registration and got himself registered, then that person will also be a taxable person. So, for supply to be a taxable event, the supply should be by a taxable person. And the last parameter, that supply should be of goods which are taxable under GST. So, this all about the 5 parameters of supply. Now, supply includes, in the general case, the supply which are made in the course of furtherance of business and for a consideration. But there are some supplies, even it's not in the course of business or without consideration, still includes in taxable event of supply. Let's discuss one by one. The first one is importation of services for a consideration, whether or not in the course of furtherance of business. If any services imported for a consideration, even it's not in the course of business, will be a taxable supply. For example, Ramaiah, a proprietor, has received the architect services for his house from an architect located in New York at an agreed consideration of $5,000. Here, the import of services by Ramaiah is a taxable supply, even that supply is not in the course or furtherance of business. The third category of supply is the supplies made without consideration. There are 4 cases where the supplies made without consideration still will be treated as taxable supply. The first case is permanent transfer or disposal of business assets. Any kind of disposal or transfer of business assets made by an entity on permanent basis, even though without consideration, qualify as supply. In any kind of disposal or transfer of business assets, any entity which are disposing or transferring their business assets on a permanent basis, even and for without consideration, still it will be qualified as supply, provided that input tax credit has been availed on such assets. It also covers if a supply is made by a holding company to its subsidiary. The next case is the supply between related person or distinct person. It's saying that if any supply is made between the distinct person or related person and it is made in the course of furtherance of business, it will be a taxable supply. Now, what is distinct person? A distinct person who has obtained or required to obtain more than one registration, whether in one state or union territory or more than one state or union territory, shall in respect of each such registration be treated as distinct person. So, any person who has more than one places of business and registered in each state separately, then for each registration it will be treated as distinct person, and the supply made between the distinct person will be a taxable event. For example, Mohan, a chartered accountant, has a registered head office in Delhi. He has also obtained registration in the state of West Bengal in respect of his newly opened branch office. In this case, Mohan will be treated as a distinct person in respect of registration in West Bengal and Delhi. Now, the next is related person. Related person includes legal persons also. Related person means any person if such persons are officers or director of another's business, if such persons are legally recognized partners, if both are partners in the same firm, if those persons holding employer-employee relationship, if any third person control or holds more than 25% of voting powers of both of the persons, or one of them control the other, or maybe a third person control both of them. Such persons together control a third person, or those persons are member of the same family, or they holding relationship of principal and agent. In all these relationship, these person will be treated as related person. And in case of related person also, if there is any supply, it will be a taxable supply. Now the next is stock transfer or branch transfer. If the supply is made by one branch office to another branch office, it will be a taxable supply. For example, Raghubir Fabrics transfers 1,000 shirts from his factory located in Lucknow to his retail showroom in Delhi, so that the same can be sold from there. Here the factory and retail showroom of Raghubir are registered in the different states, and though no consideration is charged, still it will be a taxable supply. The another case of supply of goods or services or both between an employer and employee. In case of services provided by an employee to the employer in the course or in relation to his employment, will not be treated as supply of services. Any gift made by an employer to the employee and the value of the gifts not exceeding 50,000 rupees in a financial year, then that supply will not be a taxable supply. But if the value of gifts exceed 50,000 rupees, then it would attract GST. Sometimes the services like health club, fitness centers are provided by free of charge to all the employees by the employer. In that case, the same will not be subject to GST. But free housing to employee, when the same is provided in terms of contract between the employer and employee and is a part and parcel of cost to the company, then will be subject to GST. So any facility which is a part of the cost to company, then it will be a taxable supply. In case of a principal and agent, the supply of goods by the principal to the agent for sale, even without consideration, will be treated as a supply. For example, ABC Manufacturers Limited engaged Raghav and Sons as agent to sell goods on its behalf. Here, ABC Manufacture has supplied goods to Raghav and Sons located in Haryana. It will be treated as a taxable supply. The next is import of services from related person located outside India without consideration in the course of furtherance of business. Means if there is import of services by a taxable person from related person outside India, even without consideration, but in the course of furtherance of business, then that supply will be a taxable supply. For example, ABC Associates received legal consultancy services from its head office located in Malaysia. The head office has rendered such services free of cost to his branch office. Here, the ABC associate and branch office are related person. Even services received by the ABC associate will be qualify as taxable supply, though the head office has not charged anything for those services. Now, there are some activities, list of activities defined which will be treated either as supply of goods or services. In case of any activity where title of goods is transferring, or maybe title in goods will pass at a future date, it will be treated as supply of goods. If only the rights are transferred, in that case that activity will be treated as supply of services. In case of land and building, the lease, tenancy, licensing, letting out of building, all will be treated as supply of services. In case of treatment of process applied to another person's goods, only the treatment is processed, that will be a supply of services. In goods forming part of business assets or transferred from the business or to the business will be supply of goods. Goods held or used for business are put to private use or made available to any person for any purpose other than the business purpose, then that will be supply of services. In case of renting of immovable property, construction, temporary transfer or permitting use of enjoyment of any intellectual property right, development, design, programming, customization, upgradation, implementation of IT software, all will be treated as supply of services. Any activity related to refrain any person from any act or to tolerate an act or situation will also be treated as services. Following composite supply like works contract service, supply of goods being food or any other article for human consumption or any drink, that will also be treated as supply of services. And supply of goods by association or unincorporated body of person to a member for cash or for deferred payment, it will be treated as supply of goods. There are some goods which are not included in the GST list. The GST won't be levied on those services. The first service is in the negative list, services by an employee to the employer in the course or relation to his employment, that won't include in the services list of GST. Second, services by any court or tribunal established under any law for the time being in force. So services provided by court or tribunal also included in the negative list. Services of funeral, burial, crematorium or mortuary, including transportation of the deceased, will also included in negative list of GST. Sale of land and sale of building after obtaining occupancy certificate. Actionable claims other than lottery, betting and gambling will be included in the negative list. Functions performed by member of parliament, member of state legislature, member of panchayat, member of municipality will also be in the negative list. Duties performed by any person who holds any post in the pursuance of the provision of constitution in that capacity, then that services will also be not included in the GST ambit. Duties performed by any person as chairperson or member of a director in a body established by the central government or state government, who is not deemed to be an employee. In that case, the services performed by that person will also be included in GST list. Means the negative list, the functions or the services which are included in the negative list will not be chargeable under GST. The last one we'll discuss in this class is about the types of supply. The types of supplies are of two types: composite supply and mixed supply. What is composite supply? Means a supply made by a taxable person to a recipient and comprises two or more taxable supplies of goods or services or both or any combination thereof, are naturally bundled and supplied in conjunction with each other in the ordinary course of business, and one of which is a principal supply. Means in case of, here in the supply, the two goods or the services or the goods and services are bundled and owing to natural necessities. In this case, the one supply will be treated as principal supply. The principal supply here means the supply of goods or services which constitutes the predominant element of a composite supply, and to which any other supply forming part of that composite supply. So in case of composite supply, two goods or services or both are bundled together. For example, Suvarna Manufactures entered into a contract with XYZ Limited for supply of ready-made shirts packed in designer boxes at XYZ Limited's outlet. Further, Suvarna Manufacture would also get them insured during transit. So in this case, supply of goods, packing material, transport and insurance is a composite supply, where the supply of goods is a principal supply. Another example of composite supply, when a consumer buys a television set and he also gets warranty and a maintenance contract with the TV, this supply is a composite supply. Here the principal supply is the supply of TV and the warranty and maintenance services are ancillary services. Another example, a travel ticket from Mumbai to Delhi may include service of foods being served on board, free insurance and the use of airport lounge. So in this case, transport of passenger constitute the predominant element of composite supply, and it will be treated as principal supply, and other supplies are ancillary supply. In case of composite supply, the rate of tax applicable to the supply will be the tax which is chargeable at the principal supply. In case of another supply is mixed supply, means two or more individual supplies of goods or services or any combination thereof made in conjunction with each other by a taxable person. It is supplied for a single price and where supply does not constitute a composite supply. The individual supplies are independent of each other and are not naturally bundled. In case of mixed supply, the goods or services are supplied by the taxable person and these are not naturally bundled. In case of, for example, a supply of a package consisting of canned foods, sweets, chocolate, cakes, dry fruits, aerated drinks and fruit juices, when supplied for a single price, that pack is a mixed supply. In this case, each of these items can be supplied separately and is not dependent on any other. So it is a mixed supply. Another case, a shopkeeper selling storage water bottles along with the refrigerator. Bottle and refrigerator can easily be priced and sold independently and they are not naturally bundled. So such supplies are also mixed supply. In case of mixed supply, supply of that attracts, in case of mixed supply, the tax liability, the tax rate will be applicable that attracts highest rate of tax. If you have bundled so many goods or services, the highest rate of tax will be applicable to that particular mixed supply. Thank you very much.